Welcome to the Forever and Ever podcast. I'm your host, Homer Hargrove, and today we're going to be talking about the power of apologizing effectively. And we're going to be talking about this idea that can either make or break relationships, which is how we say sorry. And I think that we've all been in these different places where you or your partner apologizes, but you don't feel like they really meant it. Or you apologize and they don't seem like they accept it, or they don't seem like they believe you. And that I'm sorry doesn't feel like there's actually closure or that it's complete. And that's typically because your love language, just like your love languages, we also have apology languages. And it's these different ways in which we seek and gain forgiveness. And in this episode, we're going to break down different types of apology languages and how they can affect your relationship, and especially how learning them can help you to rebuild that trust and that connection when things go wrong. And at the end of the day, we should understand that no matter what, we're going to have times where we either need to apologize or accept someone's apology. And so it's not about trying to avoid situations altogether in which you don't ever have to apologize. It's not necessarily realistic. But just like love languages, these apology languages that we're talking about, it's almost as if imagine your spouse speaks Spanish and you only speak English, and y'all are trying to say I'm sorry to each other, but you don't understand what they're actually saying, and so you feel like you're just talking to a wall, like you're really not making that connection. And it's a similar idea of love languages as apology languages. And I gotta just want to make it abundantly clear that Dr. Gary Chapman and Jennifer Thomas are the ones that have identified 5 different ways that people prefer to receive these apologies. So you could go and look at all of his books and to be able to learn more. This is really just an idea of like grazing over it as we are trying to unpack this idea of building our marriages up. So this idea that just like love languages, we don't feel all apologies the same way. And what feels like a sincere apology to you might not register as something meaningful to your partner. So some people, for example, some people just need to hear the words, I'm sorry, while others need to hear why you're sorry. Some need a plan for change. Someone needs, while others need an opportunity to express how they felt before moving forward. So it's this idea of really understanding what our heart wants, what our partner's heart wants, and when we learn our partner's way of apologizing, it helps us to better heal faster, to rebuild that trust, and to avoid these repeated conflicts. Because sometimes, I mean, don't you know what I mean? Like, we end up fighting more about the apology than we do about the thing we're apologizing for. And so let's go through these 5 main apology languages and what they mean. The first is this idea of expressing regret. It could be as simple as I'm sorry. And people with this apology language, they need to hear you acknowledge the hurt. It's not just about saying sorry, it's about owning the impact of your actions and showing remorse. Like you're someone that's saying, I'm really sorry for what I said earlier. It was hurtful and I regret saying it. You want them to you want them to not just say like, okay, I'm sorry, but you want them to express the regret and to where it feels sincere. Number 2 is accepting responsibility. And it's something like saying, I was wrong. So it's not just, I'm sorry, but I was wrong for doing this or for saying this. See, this is the type of person that doesn't just need an apology, but they need you to own the mistake. It's this idea of showing humility and building trust through that humility. So, for example, it's something like, I was wrong to ignore your feelings. I should have been more considerate. I take responsibility for what I said, for what I did. So again, we're starting to unravel some of these little 2mm shifts in our details and how we're talking to one another. Number 3 is making restitution. How can I make it right? And this is for those of you who feel like you need actions to back up the words. You're a person where in a sense, like, words are cheap, talk is cheap, but showing it really matters to you. And just saying I'm sorry isn't enough. They want to be able to see an effort to repair the damage. It's for example, I know I hurt you and I want to make it right. What what can I do to show you that I mean it? It's how can I make wrong things right? And it's again following up the words with action. Number 4, genuinely repenting. I will make sure that I don't do this again. This isn't going to happen again. And this is where the person needs to know it's not something that is going to be repeated. There's an assurance that it won't happen again, and it gives way for them to truly forgive. They need that assurance that you're not just apologizing, but you're genuinely working to change. This would, as an example, I realize I've been doing this often, and I don't want to hurt you again. I'm going to work on changing this behavior. I'm going to work on not doing that again. And number 5 is requesting forgiveness. This is idea of saying, will you forgive me? For some, that apology isn't just complete without the opportunity to forgive. This shows that you care about restoring the relationship, and it's giving your partner that space to emotionally process. It's as simple as saying, I know that I messed up. Can you please forgive me? Will you forgive me? Each of these apology languages play a different role in restoring trust after conflict. For some of these, as I listed them, you might be hearing one and say like, why do they need to do that? Or maybe you heard one and like, I can't believe, like, there's no way that would be enough for me. And you're able to quickly see how you can prefer a certain way to apologize. And maybe you feel kind of like confused, like, which kind do I need? It's most likely the way that you give. And so if you're a person that you feel like you have to like take responsibility of the mistake, well, then that's probably how you like to receive it. Or if you're a person who just wants the person to ask for forgiveness, that's probably how you like to receive. That's if you're someone who asks for forgiveness after saying sorry, you're probably one that wants to receive it. So it kind of helps you to navigate, which one might be right for you, and just try to be aware and conscious of when the opportunity arises of what actually makes you feel closure. And again, why, going into this idea of why does some of these apologies feel insincere? And it's the idea of what we're talking about is when you've received that apology that felt off, and that's because it's not just what we're apologizing or the apology itself, it's how we're doing it. And it's not it isn't always the way that our partner needs to receive them. If we're talking about these different apology languages, and we're now understanding that a well-intended apology can miss the mark even though it's sincere. But it's like our hearts won't believe it's sincere unless it's in our language. So there's 2 things that need to happen, for us to apply this in our relationships. One is identify your own apology language. Think about these past conflicts, and recognize which moments felt sincere for you. And number 2, ask your partner what theirs is. Talk about it together. And I think that you guys will be able to really understand each other better when you even I'm pretty sure he has like an apology test on his website. So go and look at it and get his book and really go through it. Y'all could even read it together. And you might be surprised at how different your apology languages are from each other. And once you understand both of each other's apology languages, next time try using their apology language instead of your own. And on top of that, if they are apologizing in their language and maybe they don't remember, they don't recognize that they're not apologizing in your apology language, well, you should use your conscious mind and tell yourself, like, I know that they're trying to apologize. At the end of the day, that's what we're trying to get to the heart of. Rather than allowing that distrust in your partner to build because they're not talking the same language as you, doesn't mean that they're not saying what you want to hear. Y'all dig what I'm saying? At the end of the day, are they apologizing? Are they trying to apologize to you? And that's what we want to focus on. That's what we want to build off of. And all of the details of how we do that can be adapted and worked on and built together. But sometimes it just helps going to the heart of it. Are they trying? Well, that matters a lot. So I hope that this was helpful for you today. And remember, the biggest takeaway today is apologizing isn't just about saying sorry. It's about repairing the trust the way that your partner needs. That's what we're walking towards. And if you and your partner speak different apology languages, your apologies might not feel complete to each other. But when you learn how they need to receive an apology, you can help heal and grow, heal faster and grow closer. So remember that the heart of everything is that we're trying to restore connection. We're not trying to prove that someone's right or wrong. We're trying to just restore our connection. We're trying to build our partnership together. So I hope that this was meaningful for you today. I encourage you to go find out y'all's apology languages, both you and your partner, and have a conversation about what y'all's results are, of what you feel with one another. And if you love what we talked about today in this episode, then I encourage you to go and order my book. If you haven't already, Forever and Ever, you're able to order it on Amazon or my website and grab your copy today. But until next time, have a good life.